God, but through the United States and thereof. I just want to give you praise, Lord God. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Let us now go together and find our
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We'll ask the clerk to administer the roll call.
Alderman Hall, here.
And Alderman Davis will be here shortly. Thank you so much. At this time, before we continue, I do want to express our sadness today and heavy hearts. The fact that we have an empty chair at the end of the room here just says it all. We are so saddened by the loss of our beloved friend Dan Dillard, our Mayor Pro Tem, our Alderman of Ward 6. He was in his 14th year, about to be at year 15 in his years of service to the people of Natchez. We had such a great meeting just a couple weeks ago, and that evening, such a great visit. And never would I have imagined we would get the news the very next day that Alderman Dillard had passed away. And so we have had a period of mourning in our city since a week ago Wednesday. Today we are letting everyone know that it is time to bring the flags back to, full staff. And after today's meeting, we will be removing the black wreaths from City Hall and the City Council chamber. But the sadness will remain, and we will always be grateful. Many kind words have been spoken about Alderman Dillard over the last couple of weeks and at his funeral. And at this time, any of the aldermen here who would like to share their thoughts, and on behalf of our dear friend, we invite them to share those thoughts.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
I would just like to simply state that our colleague is going to be truly missed, especially when dealing with the finance of the city. And he was a stickler on dealing with the city money and stuff. I would also like to say to the public, and I'd like to reiterate it again, that he was a type of alderman who was right down the middle. He was fair and he was just. It didn't make any difference who you are or what color you are. Dan worked with you, and his best interest was in the interest in the city and the citizens of Natchez. That was his most concern in how the money was going. So I would just like to simply say, we're gonna miss him.
Thank you, Alderman. Thank you.
Mr.
Alderman Hall.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I alluded earlier, I've known Mr. Dillard a long time. He was the primary architect for the restoration of Holy Families Catholic Church. And I've known his deceased wife, Janet, and her family, the Coles, Mr. and Mrs. James Cole, even longer. They were a wonderful family. Dan was married into a wonderful family. He was a wonderful family man. He truly loved his family. And one of the things I remember him as during his marriage to Janet, we knew him as Dan. To Janet, he was Daniel. And that always spoke to me of their endearing, loving relationship. And the last thing I will say about Dan Dillard, Alderman, is that he was a true public servant. He wasn't here for the accolades. He wasn't here to be served. He served this community for 14 years. And we will truly miss him. And having said that, being the Mayor Pro Tem, per Section 22 of the Code Charter of the City of Natchez, there is a vacancy of Mayor Pro Tempore due to the death of Mr. Dillard. I now move that we appoint Alderwoman Sarah Carter Smith as Alderwoman Pro Tem, as Mayor Pro Tempore, having all the duties and powers with all the functions of the mayor in the absence of the mayor, with her current compensation and a 5% increase in compensation due to her said duty as mayor pro tempore.
All right, well, a motion has been made by Alderwoman Hall. Is there a second to that motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
that's supposed to have been the duties of the city attorney, if I'm not mistaken. I
It
think that
is
was
on
in
our
his report.
agenda.
So I'd like to, make the motion that, well, with this motion until we get to the city attorney report.
Second.
Okay. Okay, for a lack of a second then well, she seconded, a motion
His
made by
motion.
Alderman Frazier. We can't actually, consider this motion unless there's a second to the motion. And at this moment, Alderman Frazier has asked that this be, deferred until the city attorney's report. Alderwoman Smith would have to recuse herself from this vote, so we can't entertain a second by her. So I will say that Alderman Frazier's comment that this be deferred until the city attorney's report, will have to be abided by. But thank you for your
You're
kind
welcome.
words.
Absolutely.
And yes, obviously, Alderwoman Smith definitely is someone worthy of consideration.
Let me say this, Mr.
Alderman
Mayor.
Frazier, yes.
Let me say
Thank you,
this.
Mr. Mayor.
There isn't a doubt about the appointment of Ms. Smith. It's just, we just don't do it in the right procedures. That's all.
Thank you.
And Mr.
Oh,
Mayor, I have spoken to the
Yeah.
attorney about that as well.
Okay, okay,
That's why I made that motion.
okay. Well, thank you,
You're welcome.
Alderwoman. I still want to entertain any thoughts or words on behalf of Alderman Dillard before we move on.
Thank you.
Yes, Alderwoman.
I had to regain my thoughts and my composure because it just kind of took away from what we were actually doing. But I want to say I'm truly going to miss my friend. I've shared with the community, his family, about Dan being a compassionate leader. And he was truly a compassionate leader, a compassionate friend. And there were many things that I knew about Dan. And I have to just share this because it stands with me even more. It resonates with me even more. Dan was passionate about his faith in God. And he was passionate about his love for his family and friends. And he was passionate about serving the community of Natchez. He gave everything. He knew what it meant not to have. He knew what it meant to have equity along all lines. He understood that, and he got that really well. He also understood the finances. He shared with all of us. He welcomed us aboard. Come and learn about our budget. Okay, he had open doors. And there was not a question that you could go to him about. If he didn't have the answer, he was going to do the research. He was going to get back with you. And as a matter of fact, I left out that next day, well, Friday, before I left and went to DC, that Thursday, Dan and I had a long, lengthy conversation. And his last words were to me, go to DC, come back and let us know about some money that we're finding so that we can continue to work and do great things here in the city of Natchez. And that's what I've done. I have that to share with the board today. But to the family, friends of his in this community, I just want to ask that you stay strong, lean and depend on your faith in God, because that's who's going to get you through from this day and for years to come. But I will say this, there will be a smile because there is light. So you're going to learn to lean and depend on the memories. And that's what I'm doing. And I know that's what they will learn to do as well. And Mayor, that ends my report.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments to be shared?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alderwoman Smith.
such lovely things have been said about Dan, so I don't want to say too much, but I will dearly miss my colleague who became a good friend, and we've had a lot in common over the years with kids growing up at the same time. We've known each other through that, and then through our work relationship, which we relied on each other a lot, and we had a lot of hours on the phone, and I appreciate having him to talk to bounce ideas off and then to always give a mutual respect to one another. He was always respectful to me and I to him, and I'm very appreciative of that relationship. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Alderwoman. At this time, I would invite everyone to just join me in a moment of silence in honor of our colleague and our friend, Dan Dillard. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much. We have a couple presentations that we just want to acknowledge before we proceed with our agenda. You may notice that we have a few visitors in the audience today. And that is because we have a very special lady here. And we're going to ask Ms. Johnny V. Davis to come forward as we make a presentation. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you since I was last at the spot. That's been a while. It's amazing. It is. At this time, what I'd like to do is invite our aldermen to come join us, and also your friends from CPOD. And I see the director of CPOD, Reverend Marcus Arthur, is here, and also your family. Yeah, your well, I think you got one. He definitely played. I met Michelle, and would y'all, if y'all want to be there until we finish this and then come up, because I see you're filming, and that's fine. But we are just so proud of you.
Yeah. You don't want to give your speech first?
Hey, we're gonna have time for her speech. You know, it has been brought to our attention just recently that Miss Johnny B is celebrating a milestone there at the Stew Pot. And we want to just acknowledge this with a proclamation on your behalf. Whereas Johnny Davis, AKA Miss Johnny or Johnny B, has lived in Natchez all her life. And whereas Miss Johnny is the mother of 3 children, 6 grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren. And whereas Miss Johnny started working at the Stew Pot 35 years ago, in March of 1980, at the age of 37. Wait, I think we got that number wrong. It was at the age of 7, and she is at the Stew Pot 6 days a week from 7 a.m. until 2:30 p.m. At times 7 days a week. And whereas Ms. Johnny has served over 2.5 million meals in her lifetime at the Stew Pot with a mission, and that mission is to feed people and provide opportunities for people to serve our community. Now, therefore, I, Dan M. Gibson, Mayor, along with the Board of Aldermen of the City of Natchez, do hereby celebrate and appreciate Ms. Johnny B. Davis for her volunteerism to this great and necessary service to our city. And so we're just honored that we can honor you today.
Call the mama.
All right, everybody's waiting on that speech.
Well, I appreciate this, Mayor. And, to be honest, I love that. I've been in Natchez all my life. And my kids try to get me to go visit them out of town. But I keep telling them, yes, Mr. Frazier, Minnesota, but I refuse to go. You know, I've been there twice, but right now, I don't know. I might take a trip this year. I'm not gonna say yes, son, but I might. But like I said, I love stew pots. I really love stew pots. I had Thomas Lewis done it. I'll be there until the Lord called me home. And I'm still there. I might not do everything I used to do, but I'm still there. Seems like I do a special sale. I step in, when Marcus come in, and he was like, this is what we want to be there and you pay it.
Like 50 years from now.
Yes.
But he's not gonna be tonight. I do love Marcus. I love him to death. He is a good director and a good boss. You know, I say things, he'll look over there, like, you do them. Yeah, I'm just joking. Yeah, but he's real good. My coworkers, they real good. You know, I love my coworkers. It's fun, I love her to death. Mr. Wayne, I love him to death. I love my coworkers. There's nothing I can do for them if they come back, you know. And I just love everybody. Love my family. I have my sister out there. She's on the one in Natchez. My brother-in-law. They stick by me too. If I go talk to them, they do. Like I said, I always have my 3 kids. So I'm happy with my folks' child. I have them too. So like I say, thank you. All members and the mayor, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Me and Ms. Davis, we come out the same neighborhood long time ago. And I would like to say, she is one of the most valuable assets to the city of Natchez. Trust me, she has helped everyone in this room and in this community. And as she said, she's been a hard working person. She could have went to Minnesota. I know her sister, I would say, she's been right here dedicating herself to thick and thin storms, whatever. She's there. And I have nothing but the utmost respect for her. She comes from good stock, good family people. And like she said, her sister out there, brother, all them out there, they have her back. They truly do. And you can't ask for no more. And Ms. Davis, stay there, please, because you just don't know. If you leave, I don't know what the community is going to do now. So we really appreciate your service and what you did for Natchez. And you're still doing for Natchez. As you say, we all walk a little slow down, we still get the job done. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to, well, Mr. Mayor, I can.
Yes.
Well, first of all, Stew Pot is in Ward 4. And I've known Ms. Davis for a very long time. And not only has she helped serve, but she's brought the youth in the community too. Those that volunteered, those that needed to come to get community service hours, they were able to come and do that as well. She's even helped some of our troubled youth as well. If this is what they need to do to come and work and learn a skill, because that's what she was preparing them for. I myself have been there on several occasions to help. And every child of mine has been volunteered at the Stew Pot along with Girl Scouts. And so I just want to say thank you, Ms. Johnny, because you have been a staple right there in that building along with your other members who have passed along, because there have been several of them. And so I just want to say thank you for your commitment, your devotion, your dedication, not only to the Stew Pot, but to the city of Natchez. So thank you.
Board members are also out
Yeah.
there.
Oh, get an audience? We'll invite them to come up.
They're hardworking members of.
Come on, get this audience.
And sons,
Come on. Let's get all the people up here. Come on, Marcus, number 2. Dustin, you step.
And also, I thank the workers for taking on that responsibility. Yeah.
Come on, Brian, get up here.
People know what y'all doing. Let's see what they got.
Slide it, slide it.
Well, this is a good looking group. All right, this is gonna be easy. Y'all ready? Right here. Nice. One more. Thank you.
Absolutely.
There.
Right, you made it. Right on time. I said you were right on time. That's what I was saying.
It's awesome. Appreciate it.
My little buddy, see. Yeah, these. Right now, he was talking about somebody that came up to me. He would.
I'm going to ask, we don't have an official presentation for this gentleman, but I'm going to ask him to come forward because he's already been given his presentation to the state of Mississippi. And it's Roscoe.
Wow.
And Dr. Barnes does so much for our community. I just wanted him to come here so that we could acknowledge his accomplishment here at the Board of Aldermen meeting. Dr. Barnes and I met when he first came to work and visit Natchez now, about 2 years ago. And little did I know that our city would be so blessed to have someone with his knowledge, his experience, his passion, and someone of great character and great talent. He has done so much to help promote Natchez, to help tell the story of Natchez, and to assist us in our efforts to continually, raise up Natchez as a place where we no longer are just living in the past, but we are really telling all of our stories in a way that better prepares us for a beautiful present and an even better future. And in doing this, I would just like to say that Dr. Barnes has become not only a great asset to Natchez, but a dear friend to me. Now, on March the 24th, I unfortunately was in Washington, D.C., as everyone knows, looking for ways, like you said, Alderwoman Irving, we were there for the National League of Cities and other meetings to bring money back to Natchez. And so, unfortunately, I had to miss a very important meeting in Jackson where Dr. Barnes, actually, if we're seeing on the video, we have some pictures, don't we, to share? I think we do. He actually received a major award through the Mississippi Humanities Council. And this award is only given just to a few select Mississippians. And we wanted to celebrate with him today, this great award. This program through the state has been going on a number of years, and here we have it. And the award he received, remind me the official name of the award.
Humanities Partner.
The Humanities Partner Award. And Dr. Barnes, I would like for you to share a little more information about this award and about the Humanities Council and what it means to Natchez and to Mississippi.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Board of Aldermen. Thank you. Appreciate the recognition. The award is presented each year by the Mississippi Humanities Council. And the one that was presented to me was because of the work that I've done as far as writing grants. There were 6 grants that I was able to assist with. I worked with our local museums, our local partners. I published numerous articles. The articles that I've written have appeared regularly, actually, in newspapers. Some have appeared in magazines. Some have been picked up by the Associated Press and published throughout the United States in newspapers. We've assisted all of these different museums like the Rhythm Nightclub Memorial Museum, the Dr. John Banks House, and also NAPAC Museum. We've also worked with other groups within the community to help tell the complete story of Natchez. In addition to that, I was a prison chaplain before I came here. I was with the Wilkinson County Correctional Facility. While there, I reached out to the director of the Humanities Council, Stuart Rockoff. They had a program where they allowed inmates to get a college education. And through his support, we have over 20 inmates now at that prison who are enrolled in a community college class. And so they looked at all of that and said that I assisted them in expanding their work in South West Mississippi. And so they're recognized.
And it's a great honor for Natchez to have you recognized. And also, Dr. Barnes, if you could share details about a great event coming Monday.
Yes.
We can't wait for Monday at 11 a.m. If you'd share the
Yes,
details. of that
11
event.
a.m. Monday. We will have, for the first time, an unveiling ceremony of the Mississippi Freedom Trail here in Natchez. This is going to take place at 9 St. Catherine Street at the Dr. John Banks House. During the 60s, that house was the NAACP headquarters. It's a house where George Metcalf stayed. It's a house where many women of the civil rights movement lived. It is also the house where Wallace Jackson Sr. was working with the NAACP. The house holds an important place in Natchez history, and now it is the site of our very
fund.
But we
which will
need to
allow
know
for
where
this.
that money is coming from. If it's capital improvements, we need to know where, because we do have other issues going with that. So we need to know specifically, and that's all I'm asking, is that we get specific information for which fund. That's all I'm asking.
Alderwoman Hall, I would ask you amend your motion to clarify that it will be coming from surpluses within the general fund.
Mr. Mayor, that's what I said. There were
Okay,
surpluses
is
in the
that
general
what the
fund.
minutes will reflect
That's what I
then
said.
as the motion?
Public
I want to
property.
make
Mr. Mayor,
sure there's no confusion. Okay?
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Davis, is your understanding that is the motion you
Yeah,
seconded?
it comes from public properties.
Then we need Mr. Rutter up here, because that's who's Mr. Rutter.
Actually, I would like to say, I have had a discussion with the city clerk this morning. It's my understanding that we are expecting a surplus in the general fund. Now, from exactly what sources will be determined as we move along in our budget year, but there are surplus funds within the city accounts that do help us to make up this amount of money.
Mr. Mayor,
And so the motion is, that is the motion. Now, we'll continue discussion. I'm just wanting to make a point of clarification.
I just want to say,
Alderwoman Irving, yes.
if we just honored Alderman Dillard, and one of the things that Alderman Dillard would ask, we need to know where this money is coming from. What fund is it coming from? I mean, we need to stick with the principles, the precedents that's already been set here. Not come here, and that's something that we should have known coming to this meeting today, which fund it was coming from, so we'll all be on the same accord at this particular time. And so we need to know. We have several funds. When you say general fund, that consists of all the funds. And we've been given
Mr. Mayor.
different accounts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Smith?
I think we need to give the definition of the general fund. It's not all of the funds together in one fund. Would you have the city clerk do that, please?
Yes, if we could just define, when we're speaking of the general fund, how is that fund described? We've been asked, Alderwoman Smith still has the floor. She's asked the clerk to answer that question.
With the general fund, it's not specified when she was talking about the surplus of coming out of a certain department's budget. We have lines like for contingencies and other things in general fund. So it's not, this money is not pertaining to anyone's personal budget like police, fire, or clerk's budget, mayor's budgets, or anything like that. There's just a certain part of general fund that is set aside for other things beside departmental projects.
Okay, thank you.
And so,
Alderwoman
Mr. Mayor, we would clarify that if we did transfer other funds, we would have to approve it at that time, correct?
Yes.
That is correct.
So
Thank
what's
you.
the contingency fund when we take it out, because we have three.
We can determine that as we move forward.
Okay.
Alderman Frazier, you're recognized.
Mr. Mayor, you said something that we're expecting these money in the general funds are expected to get them from somewhere. Where are we getting? Do we have them, or where are we going to get them from? If we're expecting funds, we don't have the money in the general funds. And we're not. Some of these funds we might not be guaranteed to get the money. These grant monies or what? So what we're doing is just moving money from one end to the other. We don't know if we got it or not.
We have a list of surplus possibilities right here.
Exactly. Surplus. That's exactly what it
We
is.
have surplus
Yeah, but
possibilities.
what I'm saying, Mr. Mayor, some of these funds, we don't even have the money for them. As you said, we are expecting to get this money, but we don't have it. So we're spending money that we really don't have.
May I speak up, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Johnson.
I did include in my report, after conversing with Ms. McKenzie this past week, that there are several options available to the city to where these monies can come from. And they were affixed to my draft report from last week. The board can take them from the casino lease fund. They can take them from the capital improvements fund. They can take them from public properties, or we have reimbursements we've received from a to be closed project, North Natchez Drainage, to where these funds can come from one source or cobbled together multiple sources to where the monies we need are right here. But that's a board decision.
Exactly. But exactly, like I said, we're moving money from one fund to another. But all these funds, are they sovereign enough
These are the balances that are, these are, Ms. McKenzie showed that the monies are there in the attachment to my presentation. So yes, sir, the monies do exist.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion?
I guess where would we, as a board, we need to decide which funds we're gonna be, taking it from. That's what the board would do. So you have the dollar amounts that are here. Am I correct, Mr.
Yes,
Johnston?
ma'am. Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you, thank you. And so that's something that we need to do now. Let's look to see what dollar amount are we gonna take from the casino lease fund? What dollar amount will we take from capital improvements? It's here.
Okay.
Mr. Frazier, do you have this?
Yes, you should have that. It was in your package. Mr. Attorney?
Let me look and see.
Not to usurp any authority of the board, but I think at this point, the allocation of the money, additional money, so that we can rebid the tennis court is where we are. When the transfer of funds occur into the general account, this board will have to approve them at a later date. Correct?
Okay.
So we could today allocate additional funds, which will keep us within the state laws so that when we bid this project, we know we have the additional funds. Now, where this board decides to take that money and transfer it into the general account, which one of those four possibilities at a later date, we can resolve that issue at a later time.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney.
Okay,
Alderman Frazier?
one more question. Where is the surplus at? Where's this, the surplus funds at?
Ms. McKenzie provided, which was attached to my report, Mr. Frazier, a source of where these monies could come from. May not want to call them surplus. These are funds available that can be used for this activity.
Okay. Do we, I don't have a copy of it.
It was,
Is there
did you
any-
not have a copy of this?
Here, if you'd like.
I didn't have any-
I thank you, Mr. Mayor.
It wasn't in every
Capital
package. But he just-
Okay, okay, my question is, I'm looking at this and but it don't, correct me if I'm wrong, we got the casino lease fund, we got the North Natchez Drainage Fund, capital improvement and public property. Now, my question is, how much money is in these funds? How much left? I'm looking at it, but I don't have it, how much in these funds. We're gonna spend money, like casino say, up to 100, is this 101,000?
I'll just say the city's doing very well financially.
I'm saying, Mr. Mayor, but I'm
And
trying to get
these-
some.
and
hold on,
these
Mr. Mayor.
are,
Mr. Mayor.
These are suggestions. by
I'm
the
saying,
city
Mr. Mayor,
clerk
but I still had
of
the
where
flow.
extra money
Mr. Mayor, I
is.
still had the flow. I'm
I'm just
talking.
answering your question. You
But I'm
asked
talking,
one and
but
I'm
James,
answering.
I need it from James.
All right.
How
Yes,
much?
please continue. I'm sorry.
How much?
Mr. Mayor,
Miss,
I'm sorry.
Ms.
Alderman
Smith,
Frazier has the
I'm had the
floor.
flow. I'm talking.
When Ms. McKenzie and I spoke on this subject, Alderman Frazier, we did not discuss fund balances. We really discussed where monies could come from, but the decision would be with the board where they would come from. This showed that there are some monies available. We did not discuss fund balances or available funds, in total from these funds described here.
Exactly. Now, this is all I need. This is all I need to know. All I need to know from these funds is, can y'all give me a copy of how much is available in all these funds?
I'm sure the clerk's office could,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier. Alderman.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, you're recognized.
Yeah, as we see what she is saying is left and that is available in each of these funds. So the North Natchez Drainage Project is done. It can be closed, and that 101,000 can be used to finish this project at the tennis courts. We can amend the motion to say which one fund. The casino lease fund goes directly into the general fund anyway, or we could just use that which is in the general fund. But either way, it would work.
Exactly. But like I say, I just need to know how much in it. That's
Yes,
all.
sir.
All right. At this time, though, we have a motion on the floor. The attorney has said the motion is in order legally, and the board obviously will always have the option of approving any transfers. But I think it has been clarified that available monies do exist for us to be able to complete the tennis project. I'd like to, at this time, call for the question. Call.
Second.
All right, the question's been called. Any opposed to the call? We'll then move to a vote. Alderwoman Hall,
Aye.
Alderman Frazier,
Aye.
Alderwoman Smith,
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving,
Aye.
Alderman Davis.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you so much. Mr. Johnson, do you have any other items to report?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. you still
Staff
have-
is requesting a motion to re-advertise the construction of 2 additional tennis courts at Duncan Park.
All right. What is the pleasure of the
So
board?
moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion on the motion.
Yes.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
Okay. So would this be for the contract above? Is this the same project?
Yes, ma'am, for the tennis courts.
Okay.
The city is seeking to re-advertise, yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion?
This is from the previous meeting, right, where we bring for the reissue this.
It's right here.
I don't follow you, Alderman Frazier.
But I'm saying this had came before us once before.
I have requested permission in the past to advertise, yes, sir.
Thank
And I'm requesting permission again to advertise.
you. Okay, thank you.
And we're re-advertising because now we have increased.
Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
right,
sir.
Thank you. Further discussion? We'll call for the question.
Call.
Any opposed to the call? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Mr. Johnson.
Renovation of Auburn Canteen, 2022 capital improvements general obligation bond issue. Staff is requesting a motion to advertise to seek bids from a general contractor for this renovation project. The scope of work will consist of replacing the existing asphalt shingle roof with new, exterior painting, and repairing the existing handicap ramp in rear of building.
Do I have a
So
motion?
moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
That was
Alderwoman
added,
Hall.
Ms.
there was a question from the election commission as if our renovation would interfere with elections. And I did share with them that it would not, because that is still
Yes.
on place.
Yes. These renovations are only to the exterior, will not affect the interior. The interior will be renovated soon, we hope, by the VFW, once the lease to the VFW is signed. And so this should in no way
Correct.
affect use for any upcoming elections. Further discussion? All right, I would like to make this note. Originally, we had budgeted for interior renovations as well. Under this new agreement, we are not going to be making those. And I would like for us to realize that we can now be looking at other areas, perhaps at Duncan Park, for recreational offices or areas. There are ideas being discussed. Because now that recreation is not going to be housed at the canteen, we are looking into some other possibilities. We don't have anything to report at this time, but I did want the board to know we're looking into that. And we actually met with Ms. Sonora Cole briefly this morning to discuss some options. I'll call for the question.
Call.
Second.
Any opposed to the call? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, sir. I do have one more item. It was not in my draft report, so it can be seen on screen. And that concerns the Harmony in the Park 2023, an event sponsored by the city of Natchez. Staff is requesting a motion to approve the agreement with Greg Gearhart, doing business as Locust Alley LLC, to promote their free festival known as Harmony in the Park at the Natchez Gazebo on the Natchez Bluff. The city has budgeted $4,500 to conduct the event, with the promoter generating all other funds from promotional T-shirts, vendor fees, etc., to be remitted to the city of Natchez to sponsor this event. The rescheduled date is Saturday, May 13th, the day before Mother's Day. The agreement has been updated, dates changed, etc., but it's the same agreement as was approved by the board last February for last year's event.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
The motion has been made to approve by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderman Davis. I'd like to, in the minutes, it should be referred to as the Natchez Bandstand.
Okay.
It is referred to as the bandstand on our bluff, not the gazebo.
Okay.
Also, I want to thank Greg Everhart for again taking this on. And I think it was a wise decision to postpone it until May, and I hope everyone will come out and enjoy it. It's quite a lineup of artists. It's going to be a very good day and a day that celebrates unity within our city. Discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alderwoman Smith.
would you mind repeating I know it was just I make the motion, but what was exactly the motion, please?
The motion was to approve the agreement with Greg Everhart doing business as Locust Alley LLC to promote the free festival known as Harmony in the Park at the Natchez Bandstand on the Natchez Bluff. The city of Natchez has budgeted $4,500 to conduct the event, with the promoter generating all other funds for promotional t-shirts, vendor fees, etc., to be remitted to the city to sponsor this event. The rescheduled date is Saturday, May 13th, 2023, the day before Mother's Day. And this is the same agreement that has been used in the past.
Okay, there's been some just confusion with people that are sponsoring or thinking about sponsoring. So it is a city event. He is just the contractor organizing it. Is that correct?
Promoter.
And any funds
Promoter.
he generates go to pay for the event and offset the city's expense. We have budgeted $4,500. And Mr. Johnson, would you like to clarify that any further?
The city did budget in its current fiscal year that amount, yes, sir. And that any sponsors are making their checks payable to the city of Natchez, and they'll be remitted and deposited to pay the invoices as they are presented.
And if there's a surplus at the end,
It stays with the
what would
city.
be the case with that?
It stays with the city for the next event.
Very much. Very good. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderwoman Irving, you're recognized.
Yes, sir. I'm glad to hear that it will stay with the city, but I know last year we end up, and I question that. I think it was approximately $6,900 that we had to pay toward that.
No, ma'am.
What was
I
that?
don't think I don't have last year's figures with me. We were slightly out of budget, but nowhere near that, because we had monies left from
Will you
previous
give us
events.
that amount then?
I can, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, because
Yep.
we did have to go back after we donated the.
We had to put a little extra in, but not very
Okay.
much. I will.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
provide
Yes,
me
ma'am.
with that, please.
I am.
Further discussion?
Yes,
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
Mr. Everhart, he's requesting most to approve the agreement. The staff requesting most was Mr. Everhart, Locust Alley. What exactly, he's doing all the setups? or
He's
what?
doing everything, sir. He's doing all the promoting. He's dealing with the vendors. He's dealing with the sound system. He's organizing it. He is doing it from A to Z. And hey, I'm a sounding board for him and work with the clerk's office, I guess, in regard to the receipt of revenues and just paying for the expenses.
Okay. These T-shirts, vendors, okay, okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any further?
Call for the question.
Second.
Okay, the question's been called. Anyone opposed to the call? In that case, we will proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed,
Aye.
no. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Thank you. We now will go to city official reports. Alderwoman Paul, you're recognized. I'm sorry, Mr. Dollar, did you want to take care of that now? I'm very sorry. Yes, Mr. Justin Dollar is recognized.
Good morning, Mayor and Board.
Good morning.
I wanted to come before you all today. Back in October, when we were putting together the budget and approving the budget, we had, for this year, we had two pieces of equipment that we were in need of. That would be a loader and a dump truck for our public works facility. So come before you today to seek permission to advertise for those two pieces of equipment.
So move.
Okay.
Second.
Motion has been made by Alderwoman Irving and seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion on the motion.
Yes,
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
you're requesting for a front end loader and a dump truck.
That's correct, to advertise for those pieces.
Okay, I just have one simple question for you. And it's dealing with public works. Did you ever look into about a limb truck or how much that would cost for the city?
Yes, I provided that number a few times now, but you're looking at about 200 to 225.
225,000.
Mhm.
Well, how much of these loaders and dump truck gonna cost?
Well, we'll be receiving bids, so at that time we'll see. But I mean, I can maybe give you an approximate.
Yeah, give me a.
I would probably say the truck going to be probably 160, somewhere around there.
Together?
No, that's just
Just
the
the one?
Just the truck, absolutely. And the loader's probably around 180 to 200. But again, we'll receive bids and they'll tell us exactly what it'll be. Competitive bids.
Okay, further discussion. I think that that's a discussion for another day. We'll talk about the limb truck because we badly need that due to the inclement weather that we're having in trees and limbs stuff. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier. Any further discussion? I will say these are items that have been budgeted for, and the board in the city is under no obligation to purchase them. We're just going to advertise the bids, and we'll see what the bids come back as. I'll call for the question.
Call.
Second.
Any opposed to the call? We'll proceed then to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dollar. And we thank you and your team for all the hard work you're putting in. A lot of projects have been underway. We'll now go to the city officials' reports. Alderwoman Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to thank Mr. Rudder and Mr. Dollar for all of the work they are doing in Ward 1 whenever I call upon them for lights that are out with energy or for potholes in the other areas of Ward 1 that pose dangerous situations for those constituents. Thank you all very much. I also like to say, report that the April 7th Chamber Golf and Tennis tournaments that were scheduled for April 7th has been rescheduled for April 28th at Duncan Park. Men and women tennis and pickleball leagues will start this summer. And in May, there will also be a family cup that will be announced at that time. In June 2nd through 5th will be a cancer tournament. And there are camps and clinics for children as well. April 17th, kids classes will start. On June 5th through the 30th, there's summer tennis. First session begins. These are for kids. And July 10th through July 28th, summer tennis second session will begin. And in September, there will be a pickleball tournament. Okay. Thank you, Ms. And Ms. Cole is working diligently with the contractor for the ball fields, and that communication is ongoing with her and our city attorney.
Okay. I just appreciate that and all the hard work going on in recreation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderwoman.
Also, thank Ms. Cole for her all of her programming that she has done. She just completed the seniors tea last weekend and the community-wide. The senior tea was also a community-wide event, and the last Easter egg hunt was this past weekend, Holy Saturday. And we're also going to be in communication with our disabled adults as well, and those who care for them, for events for them as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Frazier, your report.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Is Ms. Cole here?
Mhm.
Ms. Cole, I have one simple question for you. I have some of my constituents been calling me. Could you tell me the status on the splash pad at North Natchez? They've been calling to see if it's gonna be up and running this summer, or do you know?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Board. Alderman Frazier, with the splash pad, I think I reported sometimes last year, I spoke with Mr. Blankenstein, I believe, that was over the splash pad or keeping it functional and working. It was with his recommendation that he no longer wanted to maintain the splash pad or be over the maintenance on it. And then also I got with one of our playground specialists that specializes in splash pads, and their recommendation was that it would cost just as much money to get a new splash pad to fix that old splash pad. And they also recommended that we go to fresh water instead of that recirculation system.
Fresh.
So it would probably be almost $250,000 to get a new one or to fix it.
Look like that's what they should have been working on. If you say 200 some $1,000.
Yes.
Okay. Are you just gonna let this pass it down? Y'all have any other thing that you're gonna do with it, or just dig it up or what?
If the board would like to allocate funding for it, I'm happy to get it working up and running.
Right now, I think I'll just be straight out honest with you. I don't think we have $200,000. You know, I'd like to get it fixed, but that's a lot of money right now. The way the budget is and things are tight now. Okay, thank you, ma'am, for that report.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Ms. Mayor, that's all.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier. And Alderman Frazier, I share your concern. We actually spent some funds last year to try to get it repaired, and the repairs didn't last. And so going forward, I hope we can have another phase of recreation renewal, because I would love to see that.
Well, I would just like to simply say this, Mr. Mayor, it's just the kids on the north side of town, they had to go so far. That splash pad was one of the best thing that happened in that community on that side of town, because kids, not only the kids, the adults, they really enjoyed it. But it's just so far for some of the kids to go out by the high school and on the highway, because most of the kids that go to the park, they're gonna have to ride their bike out there to the Liberty Ballpark, and they got to get on the highway. It's just so dangerous. So I want to get some on the north side of town that will benefit everybody on that side of town.
And we'll continue working on that. I will say the good news is the North Natchez Youth Center is about to be complete in about another month. And I believe we're going to be planning summer activities there. And then the playground is complete, the bathrooms are complete, and nets are up, tennis courts and basketball goals. We have made progress, but we do need to continue making more.
And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to reiterate that $824,000 was put into the North Natchez building, the youth center. So we're making great progress.
Great to see that open again. Thank you. Alderwoman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank Mr. Dollar and the traffic department for the recent striping that's gone on some major streets in Natchez, one of which is Lower Woodville Road, which the residents out there are very, very grateful, especially at night and in the rain. So thank you very much, and job well done. It's done very professionally. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. Alderwoman Irving, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to begin with mine, just acknowledging the community of Shawnee County. They had devastating tornadoes came through a couple of weeks ago. And my prayer is with the community. And I pray and hope that they get the help they need with recovery to rebuild their city. After speaking with the mayor, he said, Mayor Walker stated that 85% of his city, was just wiped out with the tornado. So I keep that community in prayer. And I know the city of Natchez has donated, members of the city of Natchez have donated items that are much needed. I participated in a donation fund just this past weekend. And so it was overwhelming to see the love that the community shows to our neighboring cities. So I just want to acknowledge that. I want to thank the Public Works Department, again, with striping Lincoln Street, that community. There, several members have received calls to identify what can be provide a safety tool for them coming up and down that hill. Because if you enter Lincoln Street from Union Street, there's a slight incline there, a hill there that you're going over. And so with the striping there, you know, you're on your side. And that provides a safety feature for those members of that on that street. I also want to say I had gone to DC on March 24th, and I did have some good news. There were a lot of information shared, and one of them, Mr. Johnston, I made you a copy. I've been told that this is Mr. Johnston still here?
Yeah.
Mr. Johnston, I've been told that this is free money. It said free money. And so there are about 20 grants here, and I would like for him to take a look to see what we could possibly apply for. And that's the key word that was left with me, apply. Let's see. Let's write for these grants. And their grants, I'm not going to read through them, but you got fire and safety protection, financial assistance program for fire. We have rural business development grants, firehouse public foundation grant, law enforcement, mental health and wellness act implementation projects. $9 million has been budgeted for that. And there's a possibility we can get some of that. For the fire, it was $36 million. And it's just a number of them. So Mr. Johnston, I would like to share this with you. Homeland Security Grant, $1 billion, dollars. And hopefully we can get anything that would assist us. And I'm gonna share this with you. Also, Mr. Mayor, I went to the small cities meeting, and in that meeting, it was some enlightening information. They had this meeting for small cities, population 50,000 and under, large cities 50,000 and over, and it was pertaining to our ARPA funds. And so we sit there and at the round tables, and we were having a discussion, and I was really at awe. One of the questions that came up was, what had been your plans? How had your city spent your ARPA funds, your ARPA dollars? And so I was able to share them that we've used a portion of it to lift the street, one that's very significant to the entire city to prevent flooding and all. I shared that information, and we had used a portion of it for drainage as well. And there were a number of things that other cities had done that I was amazed at. For instance, there's a small city outside of Georgia that's in North Carolina, and they stated that they got $11 billion, and they built a police department. They didn't have their own police department, and it was just very intriguing to hear how those ARPA funds had been used. And so one of the things that I want to ask this board, we had not gotten a report of any kind, and I want to ask you, our city clerk, and our mayor, could we have a detailed copy, something that we can see that how we use our funds, and that way we'll know what our balance is about ARPA funds? Could that be provided?
I believe so.
Okay, so that, and I'm just curious because that was one of the things that were asked, what's the balance? And the reason why that came up was because if we're not spending the money, now they're looking to do what? Come back and retrieve those funds. And so they're asking if there are plans that we need to be obligated to help continue to make improvements in our city or municipality, then now we need to be planning, because what's left, they're coming back forward to the federal government. So I would thank you to provide that copy of that. And also, after speaking with Mr. Dollar just on yesterday, he and I were talking, and Natchez has grown. It's continuing to grow. We have new businesses that have opened, new events that are coming up. But what we are lacking in is workforce to be able to handle as many events that we have efficiently. And so I want to ask Mr. Mayor, could we possibly have a retreat, a meeting? I think this is something we need to look at. Our numbers are down with employees at Public Works Department. Mr. Johnson, Mr. Dollar and I discussed that on yesterday. And so with possibly, and I know we don't like giving raises, this is just food for thought because I want the board to come together and let's look at how we could possibly increase the the hourly pay of the employees that are there. He's getting rejection after he interview employees, searching for work. And when he tell them the rate of pay, they're denying him on the spot. And so that's something that Alderman Frazier has brought to our attention, and I think it's time that we come to the table now, because as we continue to increase with the new businesses, events that take place here, it's requiring the workforce of Public Works Department. And so I would like for you to set a date, Mayor, that we can come together as a mayor and board of aldermen, and let's look at how, and meet with Mr. Dollar. He can actually give you the bigger picture of what I'm saying here now, about increasing ways that we can increase, retain, and recruit employees for that Public Works Department, because we have very few people there. And that ends my report.
Okay. Thank you, Alderwoman. Thank you. Alderman Davis?
When Ms. Urban brought up about the grants, it's one thing you didn't know about the Homeland Security. That's some of the grants we are applying for with the fire department for the truck anyway. That's some things we're already doing. And me and the fire chief, we're already in discussion about raises for the fire department anyway now. We've been discussing that on ways that we can do it, and we have more meetings on that. And also in June 10th, we're gonna have fishing with the fathers at State Park. We did it last year. It's gonna be June 10th of this year. We have between 50 and 60 people that showed up, so we're expecting more. It could be about 100 this year. It's gonna be from 8 to 1. Ain't that right, Ms. Cole? Okay, I'm just making sure. Yeah, and the kids, they can come out, their parents, whoever, they get some free food. We have the reels. We're about 50 last year. You can see, can we get at least 50 more this year? Try to have at least 100. And then some parents brought their own reels and stuff. It's a good event, and they can eat, play, and do whatever. They have bathroom facilities there that the kids can use. There's a lot of people in Natchez really never have been to State Park. And so that's why I decided to do it there every year, so they can learn about what we have to offer in Alderman County. And Mayor, that ends my report.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Alderman.
Mr. Mayor, may I just
Yes,
add one?
Alderwoman Hall.
I'd like to recognize April as Child Abuse Awareness Month, as well as Autism Awareness Month. You're welcome.
All right, we'll now proceed to City Clerk's report. Madam Clerk, you're recognized.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. First, act approved for the first April claims docket.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
I'm going to begin with page 20.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Dollar, you did answer that because I did bring that to you. That was equipment. But I did want to ask on page 20 in this fund number 001-200-586, page 20, repairs to the council chambers. Now, this is highway and streets budget, and I just was asking, am I looking at this correct? I just want clarity. It says repairs to council chambers, carpet and linoleum? Or is that out there? That's wrong because it's coming out of highway and streets fund.
That should be wrong.
Well, it's here. It's an error. It's an error? I'm asking.
Madam Clerk?
Certainly should be.
We'll check into it.
Madam
It's
Clerk?
a total of $1,800 here. You got,
Check into it, Mr. Mayor.
All right, it will be checked into. Thank you for bringing that up.
you're welcome.
And further comments?
Yes, sir. Page 25. Yeah, the water, you did that, you explained that to me, page 25. The Natchez Dodge trucks, and this is still highway and streets. Is this, for any of our new trucks that we're having? It's for parts.
What does it say?
It's, parts and repair for engine, Dodge, Natchez Dodge, and it's
Parts.
2,000. That's for our new trucks?
Yeah, it should specify
Parts.
the unit number
Okay,
for parts.
okay. All the tires, you did that
I'm
one.
not looking at it,
Okay. Okay, on page 29, I'm just asking Diabu. It said that this is a conference room table. Is it a refund?
He refinished it as part of our upgrades at City Hall.
Yes, sir.
It's been recently refinished.
Okay, all right. Got a question, page 31, Burns Insurance Agency, and this is with Auburn. Mr. Mayor, that's our responsibility, for the insurance, wasn't that
Yes,
our?
it is.
Okay, just,
It is our responsibility.
okay. All right. Now, and I do want to ask, is that coming out of the funding that they donated to us, or it's from the city? That's what
The
we,
city's always maintained that
Okay.
insurance, and it comes out of the budget, just
okay,
as it always has for
okay.
Auburn, out of our public properties budget.
Okay, page 34. And this is grass cutting. And when I went and looked at the fund account number, this is, it's $2,400. And so this is from the Watkins Street Cemetery. And so I wanted to ask, was that for one cutting or two cuttings? Because if we look at what we allocated for that fund and we cut grass up until October, it's gonna run out. I mean, so I thought when we hired him on, Mr. Jenkins on to do this, that we would have enough money to cover the grass cutting season for Watkins Street Cemetery.
Well, obviously, we will have a new budget. We would just
In
have to look.
October, I mean, we got
into
6 months, we're 6
Yeah.
months in our budget.
that. Yeah, we'll have to look into that.
Okay, so is
Could
that
we
for 2
look
months?
into
Yes,
that
we'll get accounts
contract
payable to pull
with
those
Mr.
invoices.
Jenkins
Okay.
regarding Watkins Street Cemetery?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Stuntman, page 39. And this, account number 103, well. And I'm just asking, I see that, this company was paid $7,500, and I thought we would have to, anything over 5,000 would come to the board for a bid instead of, making the decision to select this person. It would come to us with bids, and we would select anything that's advertised, any work that needs to be done that's over $5,000 will have to be advertised and then bid it out, and then we select. But that didn't take place here.
The bid law is actually different from what you described. Madam Clerk, are you prepared to answer that question?
No, sir, about the,
Mr. Attorney?
we can just get, accounts payable to pull those invoices.
Board, I can probably tell you.
Okay, it's for Stuntman, land tree management, cutting trees, removal of trees. I don't know what location.
So there was quotes taken on that.
It was.
Yeah, absolutely, from different vendors.
No, I'm just asking, we didn't, because normally it's brought to us and then,
No, it doesn't necessarily be brought to the board.
Okay.
You just have to receive quotes.
I can't hear you.
If you could, Mr.
I
Powell,
can hear
come
you.
to the microphone.
Right.
Thank you.
So what I would say, this work has taken place at the Auburn home is where it was taking place. And we worked with Alderman Dillard on this. He was very involved in these projects as we were doing that, from the cleanup to the removal of trees, and was kind of done in phases. That's how this project was done. Some of that you see there is for stump removal is what it was for. But there was quotes from actually two different vendors on some of it and 3 on others.
All right.
Received.
Oh, excuse me.
All right, and as far as, board approval, I know we've had various approvals, but, specifically when we spend over $5,000, with regard to her
But it's not all on the same project.
It's not all.
So I think
on the
they
same
just paid,
project.
it's more than one invoice.
It's more than one invoice.
That's not one invoice.
Okay,
That's a number of
but
different
I would
things.
know that, and I just was looking and
Right,
saw
what
that
you're
it was on-
seeing is just one payment that's made, but it's quite a few different types of work and different invoices.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is this over a period of time or what?
Mhm.
Look like we should have been notified about this.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I think
Alderwoman Hall.
Mr. Diller did discuss the
He has
project.
discussed it several
He
times.
has, I do concur
it
with you,
has been
Mr. Dillard.
discussed.
This was discussed several times with Mr. Dillard. And I saw Mr. Jenkins yesterday, and he said there were still other projects that he and Mr. Dillard had discussed, and maybe Mr. Dahl is aware of those, so he can get with Mr. Jenkins about those. But Mr. Dillard did discuss those projects.
Exactly, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Dillon,
Alderwoman Irving, we're going to go back to Alderwoman Irving because she does still have. the
I was
floor.
just.
I know we're
adding to that.
answering.
you let her answer. You let her
Oh,
answer.
I've let you speak already
okay.
once, and if you want to
Yes.
speak again, but we do need to go
I
back.
understand, but all of them, like I say, still supposed to come to the board. We still supposed to know what's going on here as a board. He can discuss, I don't know what the reason why Alderman Dillon didn't come back and give
He
us
discussed it
support.
at the board.
Look like we should have.
He did,
All right.
he did.
Okay.
We can
He
look back
actually
in the
did that.
minutes.
He
Certainly.
did that, sir. I mean,
Thank you.
I can recall that. I mean,
Okay.
I can recall that.
Alderwoman, back to you.
Okay,
Thank you.
so,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
page 60. Real world. Page 60.
That's probably something for recreation. I'm not really sure. We can get accounts payable supported to see what that is. But I know that's 126 is recreation.
One more item and I'm finished, sir. That ends my report. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Alderwoman. Further questions or discussion on the motion?
Call the question.
Question's been called. Are any opposed to the call? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Aye.
The ayes have it, motion carries. We got you there, Alderwoman Smith, thank you. I know there's a delay. Next item, Madam Clerk,
Ask for approval of the April 1st mini docket.
what's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion? We'll call for the question. Any opposed to the call? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Aye.
The ayes have it, motion carries. Next item.
Yes, ask for a request for approval for the interfund transfers.
So
What is-
moved.
Second.
The motion has been made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderman Davis. And just for clarification, these are these are described. Would you like to just
Mr. Mayor?
state what they are?
Yes, because I did have discussion.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I
Alderwoman Hall.
was spoken to Madam Clerk and our Deputy Clerk about Fund 606 Victory Tax. And I understand about this transfer. So for any transparency purposes, so no one can say they're unaware, I am deferring to the clerk to share this.
Yes, as we were looking into the accounts doing reconciliations and other things, we realized that in the previous administration, we made the payments for recreation sales tax online, that the 606 account was attached to their account. Okay.
It's under the previous clerk.
The previous clerk. So the, every month we paid sales tax for recreation department came out of 606 account. So we went back and found all of those payments that came out of 606 account and made that transfer. They were just coming out the wrong account every time we made the online payments. In the past, those payments were gone through accounts payable. Accounts payable did a check. But the previous clerk set it up online to make all the recreation sales tax payments online and did not attach the recreation account to that account online. So that's why we had to go back so far back to see when did it start and transfer all of those monies back to the appropriate account.
Okay.
So, Mr. Mayor, I just
All
had,
right.
so
Alderwoman
victory,
Irving.
thank you, Mayor. So victory tax is just the name of an account.
Victory tax account is the account where we pay all of our taxes, 941s, insurance. It's kind of like tied to the payroll account. Payroll account is payroll clearing, where all the money goes for payroll purposes. But the money is where we have to pay all of our Blue Cross insurance, anything like that. That money goes into victory tax account.
Okay. Insurance and all, okay.
Insurance, taxes, federal taxes, state taxes, all of that goes through victory tax fund.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any further discussion on the motion? We'll call for the question.
Call.
Second.
Question's been called. Any opposed to the call? We'll proceed then to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Request for approval of interfund loans.
It's the pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion?
Yes,
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
thank you, sir. I'm just looking at 4/6 date, general fund to capital improvements bond. And then the dollar amount, this said this one is to cover docket expense, the 72.
Yes, so those monies were transferred just until we get those monies from the investment account. We were able to draw those monies down.
From the investment account?
Okay. Any further discussion? We'll call for the question.
Call.
Second.
We'll proceed, well, any opposed to the call? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Yes, approval of the March 2023 high fire report.
It's a pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall and seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion? We'll call for the question.
Call.
We will then ask, are any opposed to the call? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Request for approval of the contract renewing Sparklight internet service for the Project NOLA cameras that are located at the Holiday Apartment Complex.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and by Alderman Davis and seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion on the motion.
I know it has to be
Yeah.
germane, Mr. Mayor, I do have a
Alderwoman
comment, but, do we have executive session?
Not today.
But that's what this would need to be, this, executive session, this item would be, because it is pertaining to, Project NOLA cameras. And I'm wanting to get some updated information, and it was based on, what Mr. Perot had shared with the board, a while back, and I'm just wanting to see had that been rectified, because it's just pertinent information that I can't display here on the.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderwoman Hall.
I've spoken to our Madam Clerk and our Deputy Clerk about this contract. Initially, it was Cable One the first year, 4 years ago. And then when Sparklight became, when Cable One became Sparklight, this was done for a 3-year period. This is now, they're asking for a renewal of the 3-year period. This is a 3-year contract.
Okay. I will ask Mr. Callaway, do we need to address Alderwoman Irving's request for the executive session?
I'm not quite understanding what the executive session is about. But right now, there's no motion for a closed determination. We're just dealing with the motion on the table.
Right, we are. Okay. And you know, at any time, Alderwoman Irving could call for a motion of closed determination.
I will.
She could do that. But we do have this motion on the floor. Is your desire to have an executive session?
Okay.
Would it would,
I'm sorry, man.
I'm sorry, would it in any way change the outcome of the vote to renew the contract?
No, ma'am, no, sir, it would
Okay.
not. This is
And
something I
that way,
was
we
hoping
can
would be
dispense
added
of
to
this
it.
motion, but if we did want to have a closed determination later to discuss the cameras in general, we could do that. But at this time, we'll continue with our discussion of this contract renewal and the motion at hand. Any discussion, any further discussion? We'll call for the question.
Call.
Second.
We need a second.
Have a second on the call to the question, for the question.
Call.
Okay, any opposed to the call? In that case, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed, nay? We're voting on the motion.
Aye.
Okay, all right, any opposed, nay? The motion carries. Thank you. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Last item, just, no action is requested. Budget status report has been provided from the periods of 1 to 6. So that's October 1st, 2022 through March the 31st, 2023.
All right, thank you so much. We'll move to the city attorney's report. Mr. Attorney, you're recognized.
Mr. Mayor, the most important thing that this board needs to do right now is we have to address gaps created in Ward 6. The statute requires us to go ahead and set an election. It has to be no more than 45 days from today. I prepared a resolution for the board along with the notice, and what this resolution does is set a special election in Ward 6 for May 25th, 2023. It also uses the current lines, the current ward lines. It sets the voting precinct for Duncan Park Canteen located on the Duncan Park Road. The AG, so the board will be aware, and the citizens of Natchez need to know, this board passed
Can you read a little bit louder so they can hear you? Can you speak into the mic, please?
this board agreed to redistrict the city, and part of the approval process is that the governor of the state of Mississippi and the attorney general have to approve our redistricting. Well, we have sent those documents up to the governor sent it over to the attorney general, and for the last week, it's been a mad dash trying to get that approved prior to today. It is not, and even upon approval, you still have to revise your poll books, revise the state election management system, and notify voters of changes in the ward. So we are going to, I think this board and this resolution sets forth that in order to avoid all this voter confusion, and because we can't get this done before today, we're going to conduct this election under the current ward lines. The notice that is attached to the resolution notifies the citizens of the election on May 25th, 2023. It notifies them of the hours of voting, which is between 7 o'clock a.m. and 7 o'clock p.m. It also notifies the candidates they must qualify on or before Friday, May 5th, 2023, by filing the appropriate petition along with 50 signatures of qualified electors from Ward 6 with the clerk, with the city clerk. And it also, this resolution also orders the clerk to publish the notice that's attached for 3 consecutive weeks in the Democrat and the Bluff City Post, and requires the clerk to post this notice at the city clerk's office, in City Hall, City Council chambers, and at the Adams County Courthouse, all to comply with the statutes.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall and seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion on the motion?
Yes.
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
So, Mr. Attorney,
Yes, sir.
so is the approval already, like you say, been approved by the Attorney General office that we can go and have this election
Well,
without,
Oh, I'm sorry.
we can go ahead and have this election under the old guideline,
I
without a new line.
think the laws of the state are you conduct your elections under the current.
Yeah, because
Currently, we're working under the old ward lines because the new ward lines are not in effect until the governor approves it, the AG approves it. We get our polling book straight and we get these filed with the Secretary of State and in our minutes also.
okay, I was just simply saying because, we need, where we're here now, we just gonna need to get this out because we don't want people to be confused about what's going on. Like I said, they know it's been this redistricting that came up, and I just want to let people know we are still gonna go about the old guidelines that Alderman Dillon got elected under, because nothing's gonna change.
The old ward lines and precinct.
Okay, this is just for Ward 6 people, not the whole city. So, just want to-
Thank you. Further discussion? We will call for the
Call.
question.
Call.
We'll proceed to a vote, as long as there's no one opposed to the call. All right, all in favor of the motion? Well, we'll have a roll call vote, actually. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier.
Aye.
Alderwoman Smith.
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Davis.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Mr. Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, it's under my report, but we need to replace the Mayor Pro Tem given the absence and the untimely passing of Alderman Dillard.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
as I
Alderwoman Hall.
stated earlier, I have already spoken with Mr. Attorney. In the event anything had happened to you prior to this meeting or at the beginning of this meeting, we would not have had anyone to conduct this meeting. That's why I made the motion earlier.
I understand.
Or, so again, I would say pursuant to section 22 of the City of Natchez Code, this board is authorized to appoint someone from this body as mayor pro tempore due to the unexpected death of Mr. Dillard. I now move that Alderwoman Sarah Carter Smith be named mayor pro tempore with all the powers and duties pursuant to that position and to perform the duty in the absence of the mayor as mayor pro tempore.
Second.
With her current compensation and an additional 5% as mayor pro tempore.
All right, your
Second.
motion has been made.
Mr. Mayor, Jenny.
Seconded by
Excuse
Alderman
me,
Davis.
excuse me.
Yes,
Alderwoman Smith,
yes, I was about to recognize her, but we needed to get the motion and the second on the record first. And so, the motion's been made by Alderwoman Hall and seconded by Alderman Davis. Alderwoman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will recuse myself from the vote and will hang up. And then if I will be texted when to call back in, please.
Okay, yes, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll allow Alderwoman Smith to disconnect. Okay, further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
I will just simply say that Alderwoman Smith is she is the senior person on the board with the next most experience, and therefore I also recommend that she be appointed mayor pro tem.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Irving.
I just want to reiterate that again. I do. She's a senior member of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen, and just out of respect, the knowledge is there. So I do recommend her as our mayor pro tem.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Further discussion? All right, we'll call for the question.
call.
Any opposed to the call, we'll proceed to the vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying, and we will have a roll call vote. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier.
Aye.
Alderwoman Smith has recused herself. Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Davis.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. And so we will have now, if you will, Mr. Hinkle, you're letting her know. Let us know when she's back on.
Tell her she been promoted.
Okay, well, it was a landslide. It was a landslide victory.
That's awesome.
Alderwoman Smith, a unanimous vote. And we are very grateful for your willingness to serve as Mayor Pro Tem and congratulations on your appointment. And you definitely follow a wonderful Mayor Pro Tem and Dan Dillard. We thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm
Congratulations.
honored and appreciate the support from all my fellow aldermen.
Awesome.
Well deserved.
Thank you. We have.
Could y'all hear me?
Yes, yes, we heard you.
We
Yes,
heard
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Did you hear our applause?
Said you well deserved.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Well deserved. Mr. Callaway, do we have, I think your resolution took care of that third item, or do we need to?
No, the resolution, Mr. Mayor, I just went ahead and incorporated that
Okay.
into the resolution.
All right, great. Well,
Mr. Mayor?
yes, Alderwoman.
I'd like to thank Mr. Callaway for the hard work he has done on this since the day of Mr. Dillard's death. And I know Ward 6 is now without representation, and we had hoped to have done it sooner so there would not be any length of time without representation. But we understand that we had to wait on the Attorney General's approval of that. And thank Mr. Tommy Carden for his diligent work with Mr. Callaway as well, and for the patience of the Election Commission, because they too are involved in this process. And I thank Madam Clerk Megan McKenzie for her help as well. This is a process, and it won't be too much long when Ward 6 is without representation. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Alderman Hall, I want to thank you for all that you've done to help move this forward as chair of our ordinance committee. And yes, I echo all that you have said. Thank you to our attorney, our clerk, and all who have been involved. Just a brief update on the street resurfacing project. We are awaiting some change in guidelines that are being prepared by our engineering firm helping us with the bidding of our street resurfacing project. We hope to have that very soon, and then we can rebid the project. And we are also looking at ways that we can invite other companies to participate as a contractor. We recognize that APAC is the provider here in our Natchez area, and we appreciate their plant being here and the employment they provide in our area. But we have met with them. In fact, we've met with the CEO of APAC Mississippi just recently, Nathan Killingsworth, and they have expressed a willingness to work with the city in any way, even if that means bring in an outside contractor to actually lay the asphalt, perform the milling and other duties required. It is a different process from just laying a street or resurfacing a road in the county. In the city, we have to deal with manhole covers, curb and gutter. We have to also deal with a lot of intersections where streets intersect with one another. So there is a lot more work involved and just a lot more science and engineering involved. So we are looking forward to getting this done and having some good news for everyone soon. And we want to thank Volker Engineering for working with us. And in fact, the very day of Alderman Dillard's funeral last Monday, we were able that day to meet with a good number of APAC representatives. And we were hesitant whether or not to meet on that day, but we all agreed Alderman Dillard would want us to move forward because he really wanted this project to take place, and it is going to take place. To remind everyone, we're referring to a $6 million bond project that is now funded, and we are very hopeful that we will be able to proceed with, hopefully after another bid process, better quotes to consider. And I said quotes because on the first go, we only got one quote, and we need more than just one. The next item I have, this is something we have discussed before, and in discussions with the property owner. At the very end of Rembrandt Street, we have a home, Sunnyside Bed and Breakfast. And the very last portion of Rimmer Street can actually be confused as being a driveway because it goes into her property and is surrounded on both sides by her property. And it is a section of street that the city has graded from time to time, but it's not really paved. She had requested it be paved, but in lieu of paving it, understanding she is the only homeowner that actually utilizes this street, it has been requested that the street be closed just at that point at Lumber Street. It will then revert to her private property. City easements, however, for water and sewer will remain in place. Any easements that are there on behalf of Atmos Energy or Entergy would be, those are between her and those utility companies. The city can only speak to the city services, and that would be the city sewer and water. Those easements would remain in place. So at this time, I would like for a motion to approve closing that last portion of Rembert Street and instructing our attorney to draw up the necessary paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall and seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion on the motion.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
I can't see that we're gonna resurface this. We had the discussion once before, and as I stated to the board, and I'm gonna state it to everyone in here, if we vote for this, we're doing a great disservice to the citizens of Natchez, because we are paving a private road up to a
Sir,
private
if I could
road.
clarify.
No,
We are not paving it, we're closing.
Hold on, Mr. Mayor, close. That property goes, Rimber Street stops at that railroad track. Now, if you go on the other side of that railroad track, that's private property. And I'm not gonna vote for something that's private property. We already voted once before for paving private property in Ward 1. We done voted on, out that old Howard Brothers, we paved a private road out there. That's all that is private property.
Never paved in
Alderman Frazier.
You pray down on.
Alderman Frazier.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not through, Mr.
We're
Mayor.
not asking to pave anything.
I'm not through. We talking about doing surface work down. I'm
We're
gonna
not
get to you in a
talking
minute,
about surface work.
because like I say, we paved over there in your ward off of Wall Street. But I'm not saying, I'm not gonna sit up here and vote for something that we are paving all these little private roads and stuff going into these different homes and stuff. I just can't go with that because it's a disservice to the rest. I got people on top of hill on Old Washington Road, need paving up there. I can't vote for this, Mr.
All right, thank you, Alderman
Public,
Frazier.
but they're not
I would
paved.
like for everyone to, and if we need the minutes to reflect, to make sure it should be very clear on the tape when we roll it back. I said that the property owner had requested paving, but being that she is the only homeowner utilizing the street, instead, we have said we'll just close it. We are not paving it. Whatever section of Rembert Street is there beyond Lumber Street would then just become her private property. And if she wants to pave it, she can, but the city in no way will be paving it. We are closing it. Also, I do have for the record to say, if we go back and look at prior meetings and minutes, anything that has been paved, it has had to go through the legal process to be ascertained that it is a city street, a city easement, or a city thoroughfare right of way. And I would challenge anyone thinking otherwise to produce the evidence otherwise.
Alderwoman Road, Mr. Mayor.
Alderwoman Irving.
Roads they paved.
Okay, thank you. Alderwoman Irving, you're recognized.
Yes, sir. I want clarity. Can you explain that again about the closing? That's what I'm wanting to know. You said closing.
Yes, it's my understanding when we close a street, it then reverts to the ownership of property owners on either side of the street, from the median of the street to the right or to the left. In this situation, the property owner, Sunnyside, owns to the right and to the left. So in closing this street, it will become the property of Sunnyside. The city will no longer have to grade it. The city is not being asked to pave it. And then, but the utility easements, just as they occur all over the city, remain there. There will still be utility easements there.
I want to say this. I know in the past, because you got Cedarhurst that's right there. You have the railroad tracks that were there. Now, we will not go beyond the tracks because that is private property on the opposite side. I drive up to the track, that's city. Because we had this experience several years ago, and there was a water leak, and it was on private property because of the location. Now, we maintained that street up until the track, okay? And so, and that goes evenly across. So you're saying that at the end of lumber, at the end of Rembert, you have lumber that that's across. Then we're going over to Sunnyside. But that's actually Rembert Street. So you're saying that we're gonna close up to the track. Is that what
We're
you're
going
saying?
to close where that section of the street begins at Lumber Street forward to include the old track. Only that property, we had Geoportal last time. I don't know if we can pull it up.
Yeah, because that
again,
just look
because we've discussed this. We've had the presentations. It's in your ward. You're very familiar with it because I know
and
we've
that's
had
what, and
meetings
that's my
there.
reason for saying
When I was first, when we were first asked to pave the street, and we went and looked at it, I was surprised. I said I thought this was the driveway to the property because that property is the only property that uses that driveway. But according to the records, it is a city street. And so we have a choice. We can close it, we can pave it, we can grade it. But at this moment, I believe actually the city will save in the long run by just closing it. And it will then become private property.
Mr. Mayor, should we possibly have Mr. Dollar speak to that, please?
Certainly. And Mr. Calloway, you have something to add?
Mr. Mayor, since this not that this isn't in essence a private driveway. I know it's listed as a city street on the maps is why we need to close it. But since this person is requesting this, I'd like to make this motion conditioned upon the homeowner signing a release of damages, because the statute regarding closing of city streets speaks to compensating adjacent landowners for any damages that may incur by the closing. There are none. I don't foresee there are any, but to protect the city's interest, I would like, if we could, amend this motion to make it conditioned upon the homeowner signing a release of any damage.
Alderwoman.
I will amend my motion.
Alderman Davis, do you accept that amendment?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Mr. Dollar, you're recognized.
The only thing I wanted to clarify, Alderman Irving, I mentioned a minute ago, you mentioned about going into Cedarhurst apartment. So you're talking about two different streets.
No, but
listen.
on lumber.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the Lumber Street right of way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Lumber and Rembrandt cross. The Rembrandt Street right of way crosses Lumber and goes up the hill to the house. That's what's platted as part of that subdivision plat, which is public right of way currently. So it's two different right of ways. So yes, thinking the right of way stops on Lumber does on that right hand side, it does go to the railroad tracks. But this is an entirely different street, and its right of way is totally separate from that. So they're not in the same.
So the entrance of the streets are different.
Rembrandt Street is at the public street actually crosses Lumber and goes up the other side.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a public street off of Lumber Street at Cedarhurst. That is a private drive that they installed to access those apartments.
Okay, you mean to tell me when you cross the railroad track, that's city property?
Absolutely, it's platted on there. We could show you proof.
That's not true. Like I say, I don't dealt with this police for years. The city property always stop at that when the railroad track is owned by the railroad
on
company.
Lumber Street.
And once you get across the
right
railroad track, the people that own Sunnyside was the people that own that property, not because. But I'm just going to tell you why. Because when you see the railroad track up there, anything that's from that railroad track, 50 feet beyond is the railroad property, 50 feet back is city property.
See this map?
I'm looking at the map.
Well, so that's what the right of way.
I got property down up behind the railroad track on 50 feet in.
This is the platted map for public right of ways.
Okay, Mr. Callaway is recognized.
Just for clarification to the board and to citizens, this map, the city, which happened a long time before we got here, when they adopted the subdivision, that's Rembert Street laid out. Now, over time, it becomes, in essence, just a private drive, but it's still on our plat and it's still been accepted by the city. We'll be cleaning up some other cities later in the administration. And there's some alleys that show up under the hill that run through a building. And we're just,
There's some alleys running under the water under here.
yeah, correct.
That's Silver Street Hill.
Correct.
Okay.
So in essence, although over history and over time, it becomes just a private drive, it's still platted and it's still been accepted as a public property, but it doesn't need to be one. And that's why we're closing it today.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. I would like to call for the question.
Call.
Any opposed to the call?
Yes.
Okay. Then in that case, we'll have a vote on the call for the question. The call to the question essentially ends debate. It does require a majority vote. On the call to question, Alderwoman Hall, how do you vote?
Aye.
Alderman Frazier?
Nay.
Alderwoman Irving?
Nay.
Alderman Davis?
Aye.
Alderwoman Smith?
Aye.
The vote has been in the majority. The call for the question stands. So we now will proceed to a vote. The vote is on the motion to close Rembert Street with the understanding that the property owner will not hold the city liable for damages as described earlier by the city attorney. Alderwoman Hall?
Aye.
Alderman Frazier?
Nay.
Alderwoman Smith?
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving?
Nay.
Alderman Davis?
Aye.
The ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you so much. The next item, we will be requesting permission to attend the Planning and Development District's annual conference in Biloxi. This conference, very valuable in discussing grants and development opportunities for our cities, municipalities. And I would like to attend along with James Johnson and also Mr. Burke, who is now helping more and more in grant duties. And we just need the approval of the board for this.
So moved.
Alderwoman Hall has made a
Second.
motion, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
Okay, so we approved for Mr. Burks to get approval, to assist with grants. So what will he be his, what will be the reason this time for him attending the meeting and Mr. Johnson's going?
To learn more about grants and ways.
So how many grants have we received with Mr. Burks and his grant writing?
Mr. Burke has actually assisted with many things behind the scenes.
Dollar amount?
We don't have that report,
I'm
but
just asking.
he's involved. Just this morning, I know, I'm going to have to say, this is not an opportunity for attacks on Richard Burke.
I'm not attacking
I want to say,
anyone. I'm
just this
questioning.
morning, at my request, Mr. Burke had a meeting with Marcus Archer and others to discuss a federal grant we had discovered for the stew pot. We worked on that just this morning. Mr. Burke works hard every day. And to imply, yes, he has helped with a number of grants, a discussion of a number of grants, and we all know that because we all know how hard he works. And that's my answer to that question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr.
I
Mayor.
think previous administrator
Mr. Mayor.
has an
Yes,
assistant as
yes,
well.
Alderman Frazier.
It's not a question of attack on Mr. Burke. It's a question that she being the alderman, she had that right to ask those questions on about why he's going. Like I say, if you said it's for travel, that's fine, but I don't have any problem with anybody going anywhere. But
Thank
she can ask that question.
I can. and
Of
that's what I
course.
did.
And I just answered
And like I
it.
said, it's not.
You were sarcastic. but
No,
it's
I was
okay.
not. I
It's
was right
okay.
to the point
It's
because I
okay.
do know that there have been
It's okay.
allegations made as recently as yesterday.
It did.
And
because he was
I
very
have to
rude
answer
me.
that because Mr. Burke is a very hardworking,
He's a rude
loyal
person. And he had some
employee.
rude tendencies.
And I'm very
And we
sorry.
presented them yesterday.
And this is not appropriate. If you would like to have an executive session, you may do so, but right now you are in violation of our policy,
No.
discussing openly an employee of this city. And I do not acknowledge it, and you are out of order. We will continue with our discussion.
Mr. Mayor, there's no reason to get hostile. I understand.
I'm sorry, we are
I
not
know.
discussing
I know.
employees in
I know,
public
we.
arena unless it is to
No,
praise
we're not
them,
gonna.
and I have nothing but praise.
I know, Mr. Mayor, I understand.
The question has been called.
There's no reason for you to get.
The question has been called. When there's a violation of our policy,
Mayor,
I do have a reason.
You can hit that gas.
I have
all
a
you
reason.
want. I don't care.
The question
She
has
is
been
talking.
called. Has the question been seconded? The question has been seconded. Are there any?
You can't
opposed
stand criticism,
to
Mr.
the-
Mayor.
No, we follow a principle here, and we do not discuss
understand. I'm not talking
and
to
make
you,
these.
first of all. I'm not talking
We
to you.
do
I'm
not
talking to
make
me.
these comments about employees of the city in public, and that is highly unprofessional, and it will not be tolerated here.
It's-
I don't
it-
care who
it's
the
tolerated
employee
if
is.
she got, you
Now,
got cut off.
the question has been called. Are there any opposed to the question? Hearing none, we will call for the vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Aye.
The ayes have it, motion carries. I will say that it is a violation, not only of our policy, but it also goes against the grain of our state of Mississippi laws when it regards code of conduct. If anyone ever has a disparaging comment to make about an employee, make sure that you are in executive session and not open session. If it is ever done again, you will get the same reaction from me as you have to.
You'll get the same from me
Because
too.
that is a violation
You
and
can
we
get the
will
same,
not
Mr. Mayor.
tolerate it.
Like
Next
this.
item, miscellaneous updates. I do have just a few things. We want to remind everyone about the Freedom Trail announcement coming up on Monday. We also are very happy to report that MDOT is almost complete with the bypass project, and MDOT will be upgrading the striping once all of the resurfacing is complete, and we will thankfully once again see reflective striping back in place. We've had a number of meetings with individuals involved with the Humane Society on a very good forward plan for better animal control. In addition to that, we currently at this very moment are advertising for a second animal control officer. We are going to be finding funding very soon for some retrofitting to be made to a new building that is going to be provided for the city's use in taking care of animal control issues. We have at this time an individual in the police department who is going to be stepping up to assist in a supervisory matter. As everyone will remember, the old protocol was that our commander for community policing, Cal Green, actually oversaw this. Now that she's in the position of chief, we do need another individual to oversee this, and Chief Green has decided to appoint those duties to Investigator Hannah Willis, who also has a real passion for animals. And so I just want to give that update going forward. We will have more information at a later date. We also, code enforcement, we're working very hard on code enforcement, and we are so grateful for our new officer, our new reporting process, and meetings that are taking place to move into a better direction. Also, we have a community-wide cleanup on April 22nd, And during the hours of 8 and 1 p.m., we will accept any items, household items at the city barn. And more details will be coming out very soon. We are excited about it. We've been working with Alderwoman Irving and a number of others on that cleanup effort. And also, we will invite everyone who would like to assist in patrolling the neighborhoods for trash to meet us on the bluff at 8 a.m. Also, we are going to be presenting very soon a potential ordinance for the city to adopt that would prohibit camping on public property. We already have rules against trespassing where it's posted, but we understand that there is possibly an abuse taking place in our community, and we want to make sure that we close that door because our parks are not suitable for camping, nor is any of our city property. And we want to make sure everyone knows that camping is not allowed, and we will have an ordinance that reinforces that, but it's already a rule. Our parks are for day use only. Also, I want to state that we have had some very good meetings with regard to the EOLA project. We've had some very encouraging news, and I hope that a lot of this will be made public soon. We're still waiting on the go-ahead from the developers for that. Also, I want to invite the community to join our neighbors across the river. I almost said across the street. And the Mississippi River is kind of like a street that divides us. But we will be having a great celebration with American Cruise Lines, Mayor Buzz Craft, the Lieutenant Governor of Louisiana, Billy Nungesser, as we christen the American Serenade in a ceremony to take place at 1:30 in the afternoon on Sunday, April the 23rd. Speaking of that weekend, we have a number of events taking place on April the 22nd, including our Pet Palooza to raise money for the Humane Society, plus a concert, our European Car Show, and Touch a Truck event, and a number of other events. And we just want to thank everyone for working so hard to keep so many great community things going. Also, we have been asked to announce that McLaurin Elementary School on Friday, April 14th at 9:45 is asking anyone who'd like to RSVP to participate in their state testing kickoff. And they will have a third grade parent parade and bring your vehicles, candy, and horns. And for more information, you can reach out to the PTA president, Ms. Christina Carter, or Ms. LaTarsha Thomas, the test coordinator. That concludes my report. Is there any other business for the meeting today?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Alderwoman Hall.
About our conference and
What's
inviting the board members to attend our annual.
Yes, there has been a notice. We're already getting
Yes.
invitations for the Mississippi Municipal League Annual Conference being scheduled June 26th to 28th. And just make sure that you pay attention to any of those notices or invitations. All right. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Any opposed to the call? For the question, we'll call for the question. Any opposed to
Call.
that? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you so much.